This video was made possible by Video Shop, so there's no reason to complain about the watermark.
Edward the Blue Engine has worked on Sir Topham Hatt's railway for many decades. He used to pull passengers from one side of the island to the other. But as the years went by, Edward became too old for normal mainline trips, so Sir Topham Hatt reassigned him to the branch line that ran to Brendam Docks. And because his line starts so close to Gordon's Hill, Edward sometimes helps push other engines up Gordon's Hill when they can't climb it themselves. One morning, a green diesel rolled into Wellsworth. Edward rolled out of his shed to say hello. "Good morning." The diesel jumped. "Oh, hello. Are you the shunter?" asked the diesel. "Sometimes. I'm just about to take passengers down my branch line," said Edward. The diesel was surprised. "You're Edward?" "Yes, indeed. What's your name?" "Derek. Do you really push trains up that hill?" "Oh, yes. It's not an easy job, but I can handle it." "You shunt, bank, and pull?" "Yes, indeed. I might be old, but Sir Topham Hatt still knows I'm really useful." Derek wanted to say more, but he never got the chance. The guard blew his whistle, and Derek had to leave. "Have a good day, Derek," called Edward. "You too," Derek replied, trying to sound cheerful. But on the inside, he felt sorry for Edward. Edward was an old engine, and he had such a large workload. Derek's sorrow turned into anger when he realized Sir Topham Hatt was the one in charge of the engine's workload. He complained about it to Boko later that night. "What's that man thinking? He has at least 50 engines on this island. Can't someone else push engines up that hill?" Boko was cross. "That's enough, Derek. Edward might be old, but he's still really useful." "That's just it. I know he's useful, but Sir Topham Hatt is taking advantage of that. He's working him to bits. He's earned a retirement, has he not?" "Of course he has, Derek," comforted Boko. "But if I have a light workload because of my faulty engine, Edward can have a bit of a break from being old," Derek interrupted. And Derek stormed away before Boko could finish his sentence. Over the next few days, Derek tried to get Sir Topham Hatt to lighten Edward's workload, but every time he tried, Sir Topham Hatt would always say that Edward's workload was fine. At last, Derek had had enough. He complained endlessly about it to the other engines whenever he got the chance. Soon, some of the other engines were talking about it while at work, and the truck started being even more troublesome when Edward was around. One of Edward's passengers was a reporter looking for publicity. She decided to write an article in the newspaper about Derek's rumors. Sir Topham Hatt was cross when he read the report. Derek, on the other hand, was pleased. "Maybe now Edward will have a lighter workload," he chuckled to himself. But Derek's plan was working a little too well. When Derek passed through Wellsworth with his passenger train, he was surprised to see that in the siding was Edward, and around him were protesters holding signs. "What's going on?" asked Derek, rolling to a stop. "These passengers read today's newspaper and think I'm being overworked, so they won't let me shunt my trucks until I get a day off." "Oh well, Sir Topham Hatt will sort this out soon. I'll be able to bank your train soon." No, said Derek, putting on an accent. "I can make it up the hill just fine, Edward. I have, new traction tires under my wheels. They were installed yesterday, and I can climb things like this like a piece of cake. Yeah. Bye, Edward." Edward glared as Derek rolled away. Derek was lying, of course. He didn't want Edward to listen to him stuttering too long and catch on to his plot. He was determined to make it over Gordon's Hill all by himself. Derek was so determined that he forgot all about his faulty engine. Derek went faster and faster, and his engine got hotter and hotter. Never once did he think of slowing down. Come on! He shouted to the coaches, but the coaches were scared. "Your engine is smoking! Your engine is smoking!" they shivered. "I'm a diesel! I do that all the time!" Derek pushed himself harder than he had ever pushed himself. "Not overheating? Again! Ah! Derek screamed as his engine exploded and a fireball went spewing out of his vents, melting them. The passengers screamed in fear as they saw the smoke rising. The guard applied the brakes in the last coach, but it was too late. Derek had already slowed and was now pushing the coaches back down the hill. His driver tried to find the brake, but he couldn't. Derek's cab was full of smoke. Derek closed his eyes and waited for the end. And then, bump! Derek found himself going slower and slower, until finally, his driver found his brakes, and working with whatever force was behind him, they stopped altogether. Derek looked back in pain to see Edward at the back of the train. Edward said nothing. He simply waited to be coupled up to the last coach. Once he was coupled, the brakes were released, and Edward gently brought the train to the bottom of the hill and back to Wellsworth Station. Derek had no energy to say thank you. All he managed was a painful groan. That evening, Edward shunted Derek into Crovan's Gate Works. Not my first time being here. Don't worry. It will be much faster now that the men know how to fix you. Such a shame I couldn't help you in the way you helped me. Pardon? I was afraid you were being overworked, so I said I didn't need any help getting over the hill, but the truth is I've never gotten over that hill without help. Did you tell everyone I was being overworked? Derek's mouth dropped. Now he'd done it. All he had the courage to say was, sorry. Sounds like we found our liar, boomed Sir Topham Hatt from behind Edward. Derek jumped back into the shed. No hiding this, young engine. You've caused confusion and delay, and I cannot understand why. Because you were overworking Edward. I saw how many jobs he had in one day, and that made me mad. So I started sharing my feelings with the other engines, and before I knew it, overworking Edward became the top story. Derek! I don't do all those jobs because the Topham Hatt forces me to. I do all those jobs because I want to work hard. I love my life on the island of Sodor, and I want to help my friends in any way I can. If the work was too much for me, I'd simply go to Sir Topham Hatt and ask for my workload to be reduced. Guess what, Derek? I appreciate the fact you were concerned about me, but I'm the one who decides my own limits, not you. Derek was stunned. Edward had never shouted at him like that. Sir Topham Hatt stared. Derek, if you were that concerned about Edward's workload, you should have gone to him and asked if he needed help, and then you would have gotten your answer as to whether he was overworked or not. But instead, you chose to gossip about him behind his back. You chose to gossip about me behind my back. And now look at the state of the railway. Edward's, mine, and a lot of other people's reputations on this railway are in shatters. It will take such a long time to recover of this, thanks to you. Derek was ashamed. I'm sorry, Edward. So sorry, sir. I promise once I'm fixed, I'll work harder than ever and I'll never gossip again. I hope so. Especially since you're not going back on the main line runs. I'll do every little bit of maintenance and rubbish train on this island, sir. I'll clean up my mess. I'll tell everyone the truth. You don't have a light punishment. You won't be seeing our main line for a while. Until the gossiping about Edward being overworked goes away, once and for all, you're being reassigned to shunting duties at the Peel Godred Ironworks. What? But sir! And if you ever gossip about any of my engines again, you'll be reassigned to the Ironworks, period. Do I make myself clear? Yes, sir. And with that, Sir Topham Hatt and Edward left. Poor Derek. Of course he hadn't meant to cause as much damage as he did. but every foul action has a consequence.